We are working together to ensure inquiry instruction is occurring in all grades with our partner schools. Ethos celebrates the outstanding teachers and administrators at Oslo Elementary and the amazing staff and leadership at Eastwood Elementary. Thank you.
We're going. Hi, Douglas.
Yes. Hey, John, how are you?
Good, good, good.
All right. Well, today's question is all about data. We had a teacher respond and ask us, is there a right or wrong way to read data?
Yeah, I tell you, what's one question? That's quite a question. That's a lot.
It is.
Yeah. Well, in inquiry, quite often we can imply that there's nothing wrong in that, like hypothesis. If you provide evidence and you've done your investigation, that it's all good. That if you come up with, it's often called a null hypothesis,
Mhm.
that proving something wrong is often easier than proving something right. And students can quite often get off on different nuances of an investigation, and that doesn't make them wrong. When a student often says, "Oh, this went wrong for us in science," it's like, happy day, because now we have
Yes.
something to investigate. But the other side is something we've talked just a little bit ago about, is that there's a point where we have to be the teacher.
Mhm.
We have to put on our teacher hat. Um, Students need boundaries for behavior, but they also need boundaries, I think, for investigations. They need to know, that is an incorrect solution. Your logic is circular, or that actually does not support that. I mean, just take another look at
Mhm.
it. I see what you came up with, but I don't think the results you have. I mean, the results, the evidence supports your statement here. How else could we say this? Does that make sense?
And yeah, and I also think that's important that we make sure that the data that we're allowing our students to collect is very subjective. That the student is not adding something to the data to try to persuade whether their hypothesis is proven or not, which I think sometimes students want their hypothesis to be proven or correct so much that they will try to find something that will support it rather than just collect a whole bunch of data and then use that to analyze and try to determine. If students are trying to pick and choose their data, that really invalidates the whole investigation.
Yeah, have we ever seen that before?
No,
A
never. No, yeah, a lot.
lot. Yeah, and we see. I mean, that's the history of science. People have done that, I think, forever. Tried to validate through their evidence that doesn't quite fit, rather than letting the evidence roll. And it kind of goes that point. Whereas a wrong investigation or having wrong results, there is no wrong results. It's how we
Yes,
process those. And what can we
exactly.
learn from those?
And so I think if we get away from the being right or wrong will determine if you were successful or not in the whole investigation. If we push away from that, I think it will then help with the data collection and making sure that we're not reading into the data incorrectly.
Yes. As a teacher, I know we all have different styles, and I can appreciate that I've had colleagues who are a lot more, here's the line, than I am. And that works with their students quite well. Here's what, and the students know that is how this teacher works, and that's how that line is. My strategy has often been to answer a question with a question, or when I see
Hmm.
something that's questionable, to throw that at the students, like, oh, that's interesting. Now, wouldn't that mean that this is going to happen? Which is, they're like, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't work. Using questioning to lead them to a deeper understanding that maybe they're on the wrong track, or where they're going isn't where they think they were going, or there's some conclusions that are attached to these statements they're making that they really don't want to make.
And I think it's going to be more meaningful and effective for the students if they have to come up with the answer on their own versus us giving the boundaries saying, nope, you can't use that. But rather, like you said, ask them a question from their question that really makes them start thinking deeper. And when they make that aha moment or see that connection, it'll stick with them longer.
Yes. I mean, the big challenge is we don't want students to shut down. And investigation is not a shutdown time. It's a time where I like this term that was very common, I think, in our community now, which is fail forward. I like this, that students can feel it's okay, you know, as long as we're learning and productive and we're documenting, which is the big one, we're documenting what's happening, that we can fail forward or we can learn forward. I like that maybe better, learn forward in our experiences.
Yes, I agree with you.
Good
Boy,
stuff.
what a great question that was.
That was a good one.
Reading data. I love it. I love it. Appreciate that so much. And of course, we could go on and on with data. I mean, there's so much to be able to talk about it. But really, an important part, I think, is to really make sure that the students are staying subjective and that the data is related to what they're doing.
Right.
I think that's how we really perceive or interpret the data is very important as well. So that's where we need to put our teacher hat on and guide our students down the correct path, which is not always easy. I'm not saying it was easy. It wasn't easy the first time I did it either. So it's a challenge, but it's an adventure that we'll get through together.
And we all know that we're going to have some of those students come up with some crazy conclusions, you know?
Yes.
It's like, whoa. And then you do have times where you have one group comes up with this conclusion and the other group comes up with an opposite statement concluding. And then we have to resolve that. And we have to realize this is not a time as a teacher, like, oh no, what do I do? It's a time, it's a learning moment. You know, these both can't be correct statements. Maybe they don't fit together, or maybe they do. Maybe there's something else that's being missing, and we have to guide our students. And we know that students expect that. They're used to teachers over guiding, I would say. So us guiding them forward is not harmful.
No, I don't think so. All right.
Well, awesome.
That was a great question. Great session.
Until next time.
And I'll see you next time. Bye.